So are we out of one flashback and onto the other, or do you think they all just wrapped up, like right there? Because it feels like they just wrapped up super fast.
Yeah, it all kind of just wrapped up in one chapter, right? Because it went back from Rocks, the incident at God Valley, and then it went into their dad talking to Harjin and Loki, and then it goes over to him.
Pleading to the world government.
So yeah, man, I'm hoping that within this chapter or the next chapter or the chapter after is finally the end of the flashback within a flashback within a flashback, because that'd be cool.
The thing I regret is I regret smoking a joint than reading it, because I had to reread a bunch of stuff together to figure out what was happening. There was a lot going on, a lot of exposition too. Well, especially that part where like the giant thunderbolt roared through the sky. I had to reread that a couple times because it has like a bunch of meanings behind that. I think like for literally, it could actually be like a giant ass lightning bolt with like different lightning bolts going through it. That could be somebody. Could be Emu. Could be somebody else. I don't know.
I think it was supposed to represent like the possibilities, because there's a huge thunderbolt with like multiple branches, and it looked like we saw about like 8 or so. I don't know if they counted or if they made a mention to how many it was, but I think the point of that was just to show like all of the people that were affected on that day, like all the fates.
Yeah, and then all the different ways they went through, the different paths they took.
Pretty much the Rocks crew disbanded on that day, and on the same day, a whole bunch of new crews were created. Big Moms, Kaidos, Whitebeards. Marco was on that island too, although his name was Polo. I thought that was weird.
I thought that was his dad.
You thought that was...
But I don't know. I thought that was his
Phoenix's
dad, but I forgot. Yeah, I forgot that Phoenix is pretty much like immortal, so it could be Marco.
Yeah, that was definitely
like,
Marco.
Back then and now.
All right, guys, so we got a couple things going on here with this whole Marco Polo Graham situation. As far as we know, Gerry did say the Phoenix fruit makes him immortal. We actually don't know that. Oda confirmed for sure that it essentially makes him unkillable. However, there is a limit to that with the regeneration, hence like the blue flames when he's in his Zoan form. There has been some theories after this chapter came out, 1165. The idea, like since Nika, the human fruit model Nika, is like the embodiment of that character, right? It comes to life in that form. And then we've seen other stuff like with Mr. Four's gun that ate the dog fruit. It gains that personality of the dog, essentially. Okay, maybe this is Marco's dad. Maybe it's not. But also, it could be the Phoenix fruit. This character, quote unquote, dies and then gets regenerated and reborn as the Marco we know now. Could mean two things. You know, it's just the same person over and over again, or it's the will of this devil fruit. We just don't have enough information, unfortunately, of course. And I'm just going to say this isn't Marco in the flashback, mostly because he looks older and he's part of a pirate cruise separately. And I mean, we don't know, right? This is a flashback, and with flashbacks, we get reveals of key characters that could be connected to present-day characters, and I feel like this is just the case. Nice little nod of seeing Whitebeard, you know, starting to form his crew, and then we see a guy who's a fan and joins him, and then maybe, you know, his son at some point comes in. As far as the timeline goes, I feel like Marco is around the same age as Shanks, which means he's probably going to be born around this time frame. Yeah, who knows? They make an alliance, and then maybe something happens to Polo, and now Whitebeard's taking care of Marco, because he's all about family and stuff. I can see something like that happening. And also, this is another layer of where people are complaining about the series now, right? I joked about it on an earlier episode recently, where it's not called One Piece anymore. It's called Nepo Piece, because we keep seeing the same stuff come back around full circle. Like, no one's earned stuff, blah, blah, blah. No, dude, like, that's just part of how a story works. I don't understand the issue with that kind of stuff. Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, this isn't Marco. And also because his name is Polo Graham. The reason I bring that up is because the pun, of course, Marco Polo. Oda likes to pull names and stuff based off of, like, explorers, pirates, what have you, and obviously Marco Polo is one of them. Yeah, so I feel like it makes sense that these should be two different characters that are either father-son or related in some other way.
I don't know what that was, because That's rare, right? There's no giant lightning bolts roaring through the sky in the universe as we've seen already, right? That's like the first one. Somebody crying in the air or something about the first Buster call.
Yeah, because I don't. Dragon didn't have his fruit yet, so I don't think it has anything to do with that. But the only other significance I think of when it comes to like thunder is like Logtown and then like what Enel can do. But Enel's obviously out of the picture. So that takes me back to Logtown. I had made an assumption that Dragon was going to get like his devil fruit there. But from what we saw at the end of chapter 66, like he didn't get a devil fruit. He was locked up. Garp sees him and lets him out, which I thought was pretty cool. It wasn't even like so much as like a real big confrontation between the both of them. Like Garp immediately figured out what was going on and had that immediate thought like, these guys are fucking disgusting. Like I need to quit. And at that same thought, it's just like, if I quit, then nobody's going to be looking out for anybody underneath. To the point that Dragon would make here, it's just like, okay, like you're looking out for them and that's cool. But these guys all together are just dogs for the government who are just up to no good in general, right? So you're basically looking out for the people who are ordered to do all the evil shit, but still do the evil shit nonetheless.
Garp is pretty much like, yeah, but they're all, literally every single one of them are human.
That's a fair
They don't
argument.
know any better.
Right? Like two sides of the same coin. I don't know about don't knowing any better. Like that's a little too far fetched for me, not knowing any better. Like these are all grown men that we're talking about, right? Like
it's like each one of them, their career lies in the Navy, and if they lose their career, they lose their livelihood, which means they lose their family, they lose their life, or maybe.
Right.
So it's like they got the foot on the back of their neck pretty much the whole time. Like follow orders or something worse will happen. And Garp is right there, like looking out for everybody. Because if it's not him, it's gonna be somebody else who's probably not Garp. One of these shithead admirals or captains that you see every now and again. I like how him and Sengoku had it out for a second.
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, I guess I was surprised by like how Sengoku reacted to the whole thing. But then again, I was like, I just couldn't really tell if Sengoku's a good guy or not. Because Garp is just like, I think you're a good guy. And I'm in the Marines, blah, blah, blah. Like, we're best friends. We grew up together. You know, like, that's basically his Zoro. And I get that. But at the same time, I'm like, dude, like that's a lot of shit to look over, brother. He's just like, I can just look around it. He's like, the higher-ups do some crazy shit. There's a whole bunch of us in the Marines. It's okay for me to look past it. It's not a big deal. Right? And I'm like, that's a lot of gaslighting, my friend. That's insane amount of gaslighting that you're just letting go right there. I would have just told him, like, I could see why he has to struggle with the idea of either quitting or staying. Like, it's all part of like the cog of life, you know, like the strong look out for the weak, and in one way or another, like the meek exists on all sides, you know. I thank God we don't have a break next week so we can see 67, because I'm fucking thinking of all sorts of shit cooking in my brain right now. And like I said, I'm really with you. I just want the flashback to be over so we can go back and see what's going on. I think a lot of this got away from us, and now we need to figure out how Luffy's going to use his Supreme King Haki to beat these guys. Because it's not like it was just like straight out mentioned in the flashback, which I feel like would have been a pivotal point. But anyway, at least we got the exposition. It took a couple of months. We're finally here. Yeah, man, I'm excited.
I think it deserves another read, honestly, because there was a lot happening, a lot of characters at play. And a lot of them at the very end disbanded, and like in the lightning bolt page, you could see which ones it's like whose story continued after God Valley. The neat wrap up with Dragon and Garp was pretty good. Garp deciding to stay was understandable. Where Ivankov and Kuma's story started, that was cool. There really is nothing else to say except maybe like a little tidbit on. We're all assuming that Rox is dead, but in like manga fashion, he might come back as something else, but who knows? He's probably actually dead.
Assuming that his corpse was swallowed with the island, because the island was swallowed, and that's why God Valley doesn't exist, which is a good explanation as to why nobody can find it. That's great. Yeah, assuming that his body was swallowed, wasn't taken anywhere, then yeah, I would assume that he's not coming back. But if the Holy Knights had taken his body after they killed him, then he might come back. He might be like some puppet that Emu can control at any point. Yeah, speaking of JoJo, I have no idea what's happening in Part 9. I haven't read it in like over a year or so, I think.
By that one dude with the gun.
Yeah, the old dude.
And then the little girl. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
But I'm right after that part.
Dude, if anything, I think I'm just gonna rewatch JoJo. Just get ready for Steel Bars. Honestly, that's what I'm waiting for. Just I want to see the intro and how hype it's gonna be, because you know they have to, since it's JoJo, you know they have to fucking put out a banger of an intro and outro.
I really hope it's just like a fucking like banger 90s, a good old American rock song, you know? Like if they do a what is it? I think the band is called Knight Rider or something. Do you remember that song Motorin'?
Oh,
Motorin'. What's your price for flight? Yeah, Night Ranger, Sister.
Yeah,
it's called
yeah,
Sister Christian.
yeah.
I remember that song. Just a really good
cool.
American rock song. You know what I mean? Like that.
Fuck
that
yeah.
would be the banger for a good old SBR race.
early 18 or late 1800s. Yeah, I'm ready for that. I think I'm gonna subscribe to a Crunchyroll account, because I've been watching a lot of anime recently, man. JoJo's on the list. I want to watch that. I just finished this one called Heavenly Delusion. That one is actually pretty crazier at the very end. There's a rape scene in the end around there somewhere. So it's like they just got, like, out of nowhere, it just got really, really crazy. But I heard they're making a season 2, so I'm like, we'll see what happens. It was just weird to me because, like, there's a lot of fan service, and then there's a rape scene, and I'm like, whoa.
Is it like full on? Like,
it like cuts back and forth. It's heavily implied as it's happening, because the person's just naked and this guy's on top of her, and then it cuts back and forth between images, and I'm like, ooh. Oh, no, actually, no, there's no season 2. My bad. It's just people saying there might be. It's insane, man. It's just it follows two stories. It's like the Death Stranding happened, right? And everybody's like trying to pick up where the pieces left off. There's these things called man-eaters, people you gotta watch out for and shit. And this girl who has the mind of a boy has a pistol that can kill them. Another boy that she's their bodyguard. He's hardy, right? And I'm saying, like, he doesn't break easily. Like he's
a tough son of a bitch.
Yeah, he fell from like a good length and he just like got up like nothing happened. And I think he has good reflexes too, like super strength and all that shit. And he can kill these man-eaters just by touching them and, like, quote unquote diving inside them and like squishing their heart.
Mm-hmm.
So it's but that's that, and they're trying to find heaven, whatever the fuck that is, and he's supposed to like give this kind of medicine to this girl who looks like him, which is the other part of the story. Like, the girl who looks like him, she lives in like an enclosed sort of academy, right? That's closed off from the rest of the world, so they don't see any of these man-eaters. They're just like sheltered. And all these kids, they could be man-eaters as well, but like hybrids or something like that. They're all like tested. They're all, I think, born out of a test tube or something like that. And I'm just gonna leave it right there, because the rest of it is kind of weird. It involves like a robot who gives birth, and this old lady who's like the head of the academy. She's trying to meld herself with like her assistant, so is that she lives forever or something like that. I don't know, man. It's very Kojima coded. Like, it's one of those things where you kind of have to just like look at it as face value and be like, okay, I guess that's happening. Like, not really question what's happening, because it ended with a lot of answers it ended with a lot of questions unanswered. So I'm like, hope there's a season 2. I don't want to really read the manga, because I'm already reading some stuff right now, and I don't think I have time to read this one. More because it hasn't really gripped me. But I would like to see where it goes. I've just been getting into the habit of, like, whenever there's an anime, like a scene of an anime showing up on my reels that really catches my attention, I've looked for it, and then I find it, and then I watch it. the scene that made me find this one, like completely forgot about it until when it happened. So the rape scene happened, and the boy finds the girl like tied up and shit, and then he turns and finds the attacker, and the guy like backs up, and he just pretty much goes and beats the fuck out of the guy, and that was cool. I like that. But after that, I was like, no, man, you should have just finished, like unalive the guy. But again, like a lot of questions unanswered. I don't really know. But I would give it like a 6 out of 10.
Are you primarily interested in a lot of anime that's like, I know like we talked about a lot, but if you're like more into like the darker tones and like just want like a more adult anime? Because I found that recently, especially today, I just found out about like 2 or 3 ecchi animes that like pretty much have full-on sex scenes. Not all of them are like just like rape scenes or anything like that, but I just, and evidently some of them
for a friend.
For science, right? Yeah. One of them is called Harem in the Labyrinth of Another World. This is actually on Crunchyroll, but I don't know if the sex is on Crunchyroll. Because there's a broadcast version, and I'm guessing that...
Oh, there's a radio edit?
Oh, okay. Then there's a harem version, and both of them are on Crunchyroll. There's also a different one that I saw that came out in 2021. This one I think is more of a revenge plot, but also involves rape. It's called Redo of Healer. This is currently it's available on the Roku channel and Amazon Prime.
Tell you, these kind of animes are the ones my cousin didn't let me watch, but I saw him buy and they're in his room. Uncensored. All right, I'm sold. All right, I guess I'll watch it. We'll see how it is. Yeah, just shit that I never heard of before. I'm kind of into that.
There's one more that looks more like a comedy. It kind of reminds me of like Penny and Stocking-esque art style, but also a little bit more put together. The last one is called Interspecies Reviewers.
Oh no. I've seen that one. Yeah, I don't need to see
that one. I'm glad you can give me a review on this one.
Yeah, it's just straight up hentai, dude. I don't want to. I'm good on that. Mainly because I've already seen like the first episode, and I'm like, okay, I think I've seen all I needed to see. You know what they're reviewing, right?
What are they reviewing?
Vagina.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It's like a hardcore Monster Musume.
Okay. So I was thinking of Monster Musume. I don't really have too much else to talk about aside from One Piece and the ecchi shit. I did want to go over 2 different anime movies that I recently saw within the last month. Gerry, you might actually enjoy this. It's called Angel's Egg, and it's a movie from 1985. Angel's Egg, yeah. The art style, it looks like the same art style from the guy who does the covers of Final Fantasy, Yoshitaka Amano. He was one of the directors for this movie. So this movie is very interesting. I pretty much knew nothing about this movie and what I was really getting into. You know, my wife, she mentioned like, hey, you know, I want to go see this movie. I've been really thinking about seeing this movie with you. So, you know, I'm just pretty much going off of her vibe. And the only thing that she told me about the movie that pretty much gave me like an immediate interest in it is she says the movie has about 4 lines of dialogue. It's a pretty trippy. It's the whole thing is giving me like a giant Big O vibe type of experience. But basically what it is there's a little girl and you just kind of see her, you know, walking around in a decaying city carrying and protecting an egg. She's alone for probably like the first 5 or 10 minutes of the movie. And the only other person in the movie happens to be like a boy. It's weird because like immediately when she sees the boy like shows up on a tank. Like he just shows up out of nowhere in the middle of the city going like sitting on a tank that's in a procession of other tanks marching down the street. He meets the girl and the girl doesn't say anything, just runs away. And like he ends up meeting her later. Like she actually ends up running into him like when he's just like fucking off somewhere by himself, and she like puts her egg down and like walks away, and then he comes over to her later and shows her the egg that she put down and says, hey, if this is important to you, you shouldn't leave it alone. And that kind of like gets her to lower her guard a little bit. So a lot of the beginning of the movie is just her and him like trying to get along and bond with each other because they're the only two characters. At some point, like, he asks the big question, the elephant in the room, like, hey, what's up with this egg? What's in the egg? What are you protecting? I think it's an angel. So she thinks that if she protects the egg long enough, the egg will hatch and the egg will be a big angel. She is pretty adamant that she thinks that the egg is an angel, even to the point where she can prove to him that it is an angel. And at one point, they're just walking around, because that's a lot of what the movie is just them walking around, going to different parts of like the city and stuff like that. And then eventually she gets to a part where she shows him a giant fucking corpse of a giant human-sized thing with angel wings. Like, even the wings were like of bone. Like, it was just nuts. And at that point, when I saw the fucking skeleton, I was like, what is going on in this movie, bro? It's just a really, really pretty movie. Like, I don't expect that movie to make sense to anyone other than what you actually see happening in the movie. You trying to make an understanding of what happened, like, beforehand, or any exposition to what the universe is or what's going on in it, just does not matter. I'm telling you right now, the next time somebody brings that movie up and I have the opportunity to watch it, I could not see that movie without taking some sort of hallucinogen just to get an understanding of what the fuck was going on. But I gotta say, that movie was absolutely pretty. It was a very beautifully drawn movie. The animation, the art style is all good. Other than just the parts that leave me confused, like I'm watching Big O, it's just pretty good. I liked it. I had a good time. Interesting movie for an almost silent movie.
That's back when I would. Man, that sounds like a movie that to add on the list of movies to watch, because your sober mind can't comprehend what the hell's happening, so you have to take something. I also watched a movie. I ended up watching Keeper. I can see why Kojima liked it from the first scene. So first off, man, this movie could have been 2 hours long. Like, it's such a short amount of time for what's happening. 2 hours being 30 minutes for each act. Because the movie starts off with like 4 different women, right? It's from seemingly different times of time. And then it cuts to each of them screaming. And then you got your main story, which is like this couple who are heading out to this cabin to, like, I don't know, vacation or something like that in the middle of the woods. It's heavily like she's talking to her homegirl about so the lady's talking to her homegirl about the guy and how he looks pretty old, but she's pretty much in love with him and she hopes that he would marry her or pop the question or something like that. At least out in the cabin, maybe. So it's very hopeful for her. The guy's kind of weird, like right off the bat, like just really weird. He's got like a weird vibe to him. I don't know how else to put it. Like it doesn't look like he feels the same way as she does, or at least he doesn't act like it. Shit's already starting off bad with her because, like, once she gets there, she realizes there's another house, like on the other, like right next to the cabin, and that's where cousin Darren lives, who's pretty much like a fucking fast talker, a con man. It looks like it, sounds like it. And that's like the least weird thing that's happening in the house. It just gets very uneasy. Like, this movie fucking makes you uncomfortable for no fucking reason. The backing track, you know how they have the high pitched violins? They have that a lot. It makes you feel like something's about to fucking jump out at you, especially when like the violins just stop all of a sudden.
Is it like that Conjurer shit where it's like,
yeah,
and then it goes stop?
Yeah, but like in a single tone though, that's just like rising in pitch, and then it just stops and makes you feel like there's something like a jump scare is gonna happen. There's little to no jump scares in this movie, so it's fine. It's just like really brings on a feeling of terror and like unease. The reason I say it could be like 2 hours long, each arc could be like every 30 minutes could be about one of the women, one of each girl, and I'm pretty much rewriting the movie for them at this point. The first arc would be about like the first girl that he tricked, and which was after like when they shot, because the scene would open with the little boys shooting the mom, and one of the women would be eaten by the house without like any knowledge of why or what's happening, and then it gets revealed more as like the different women come over, up until like the most recent one, which is like would be a good ending. Like all of them would just like have revenge on the dude. All of his fucking youth would be taken away, and he'd be an old man. If the movie was written like that, definitely I think would be a lot better. But as of now, it leaves a lot of I guess nothing but mid this week. But like it leaves a lot of questions unanswered as well. Like who are the ghosts? You know, it showed a lady in the 1950s in the beginning of the movie, and she was a smoker. And one of the ghosts were breathing smoke nonstop. So I'm like, okay, that's her. But who are these other ghosts? You know, like it's all kind of like up in the air on who's who or what's who or whatever. As a horror movie, it does a good job on leaving you on the edge most of the time. But story-wise, man, I think it could be done a lot better. That's another 6 out of 10, man. I don't know. Kojima likes he likes his weird stories, but I think he likes his models better, because the women in the beginning of the movie were very beautiful. Like they reminded me of the Beauty and the Beast core, if I gotta be honest, from Metal Gear Solid 5 or 4. Yeah, Keeper was cool if you want to feel kind of uneasy throughout the whole movie. Like you think the guy's cheating on her, but in reality, he just brought her to the house to feed the house. So it's like, okay, man, I guess this is unique, but again, it could be written totally different. I would like it better, I think. Del Toro talked it up too, and I was kind of expecting something to wow me like that, but not really. I was more like, okay. And the dialogue was kind of hard to follow sometimes too, if I gotta be honest. Maybe I'm just dumb, but I don't know, man. Sometimes I'm like, what did he say? I'm just gonna take that as, yeah, I love you too. Yeah, you know, it was a movie. I was trying to see whether or not I liked it at the end of that, like on the drive home, but
it just didn't sit with you after a while. Even then,
no, it gave me a nightmare. If that's anything.
Oh, I guess it did its job of being a horror movie then.
That's what I said like this morning. I'm like, I guess it hit me in some way. I don't know if I'd watch it again just to like recently. I'll watch it later on down the line after, give it a couple years just to see whether or not it like I catch anything different. But I don't think I'm gonna watch it again, because it's not that long of a movie either. I'm just saying, like, there's too much happening in this movie for it to be like what, an hour 15, an hour 45.
Yeah, that kind of shit where too many supernatural things are happening all at once, too many open-ended questions.
Yeah, like too much stuff happened in the story for me to actually be satisfied with the current ending or anything that happened. Because the way it ended, the ending was cool because it wrapped it up pretty well. It's just how we got there that I think I have issues with.
It was the journey that you have a problem with.
Yeah, yeah. Not even on some like, I'm glad it's over kind of thing. I'm just like, how do we get here? Like, how do we really get here? I don't know. I watched it. I watched it because Kojima's name was on the hype list, and then Guillermo del Toro was also on the hype list.
You know, sometimes, man, like your heroes are on a different level of art. You know.
Yeah, apparently that's the case. Like my brain isn't sophisticated enough to handle this kind of storytelling. The consensus read like, and I agree with this fully, it's more of a collection of unsettling moments than an altogether cohesive story. Like, you know what? Yeah. I believe that. I stand by that statement.
Alrighty, that's going to be it for another episode of the Unversed podcast. In case you guys have any comments, questions, concerns, you are always more than welcome to reach out to us through our email. That's unversedpodcast@gmail.com.
Please.
Definitely send us your thoughts. We're looking forward to them, and we'd love to talk about them. So that's going to be it for this episode, guys.
Tune in next week when we talk about Discord Nitro.